So Olaplex has a system they call the Anti-Frizz Trio. It's supposed to protect, nourish, and repair your hair. It's a lot of promises, so I figured we would test it out for you guys. If you don't know me, my name is Chris. I own a hair salon called Live Love Locks, where we test out products and bring the best ones to you. I make these videos because way too many people struggle with their hair, and I don't want you to be one of them. The trio is Olaplex 6, 7, and 9. They say that one of the most common questions they get is, how do I use this trio to get the best benefits? Which I find a little bit hard to believe because I get a ton of Olaplex questions. But I've never once in my life had anyone ever ask me how to use these three products together. It's almost as if they created this question to justify selling the three products in a bundle. That's weird. Anyway, moving on. They say that you want to use number 9 first because that's going to be your base. And if when you hear base, you're like, oh my gosh, what am I using for a base? I don't have a base. Am I doing this wrong? No. You're not doing it wrong. Anyway, they call number 9 a weightless antioxidant serum. It's more big buzzwords they're hiding behind that don't really mean anything at all. All of that is just marketing speak. They're only trying to get you to buy it. When you hear the word antioxidants, you're like, I think that's good, but do you really need it? Antioxidants and hair, just give me the results. All we want is results. We don't care about the words. So back to our instructions, they're also telling us that a pro tip is to mix all three products together in a cocktail. But literally in the last paragraph, they told us to use the 9 first as a base. So which one is it? Should I use 9 first or should we use a cocktail? Makes no sense. I'm going through all this to kind of show you how ridiculous the hair care industrial complex really is. The person who wrote this has no conception of how to do good hair, and they're not trying to help you. They're just trying to sell product. All this is a sales page. What really happened is somebody high up at Olaplex said, hey, we need to sell more styling products, go figure it out. So they came up with this bundle, they put all the styling products together, they called it the trio, and then they made this sales page and the bundle to try to sell you even more. And that's really the way the hair care industrial complex works. It's all backwards. It's not what's good for the hair, it's what's good for the company. So anyway, we're gonna skip the rest of this marketing garbage because all that really matters is how well the products work. So let me explain to you how we actually tested it out. You probably learned in middle school science class that you need to have a control group. So that's exactly how we ran this. The left side of the model's head has an Olaplex trio, and then on the right side of the hair, we did my normal hair care routine, which is my Trinity method and even less products than the Olaplex trio. So now we have a pretty awesome setup where we have Olaplex on one side and the normal hair care routine on the other side. We did a middle part so you can see the exact results and what happens on each side right next to each other. I applied the Olaplex 9 first because they specifically said to use that as a base, even though they contradicted it like right after that, but that's what we did first, and it's actually not that weightless. They call it weightless, but it's actually more like medium heavy. Then I did the Olaplex 6 and 7 as a cocktail together. This is an okay combo. A lot of people love to do this, but really you get much better results if you use the Olaplex 6 on wet hair before you blow dry, and then use the Olaplex 7, the oil, on the hair after you're done blow drying, not before. For some reason, when you mix oil in your hair before you blow dry it, it always kind of ruins the texture. It makes it more frizzy and not as good. I'm not sure why, but the oil should always go on after you blow dry, not before. But we're going with their directions. This is what they said to do, so we're doing it. And then on the control side, we have my regular Trinity routine. And all that is a leave-in conditioner and then some Redken Big Blowout. That's it. And now we're gonna start blow drying. And one thing that I noticed right away is the Olaplex trio side is much heavier, and that's not surprising at all. It has an oil, it has Olaplex 6, which is heavy, and then it has Olaplex 9, which is medium heaviness. 3 products that are all decently heavy. It makes sense that it would feel much heavier. The control side is much lighter and dries a little bit more quickly because all it has in it is a leave-in conditioner, which is basically weightless, and then it has a Redken Big Blow Dry, which is super light. We didn't get this on film, but after I finished the blow dry, we turned the model around towards the mirror and asked her if she could tell the difference. The look was pretty similar, but the biggest difference was volume. The Olaplex side has less volume because it's heavy products. That makes total sense. And then the other side had much more volume because it was Redken's Big Blowout. It makes sense that it would have a lot more volume. And the other thing that she noticed is that she couldn't really run her fingers through quickly on the Olaplex side. It's just heavier. It's a lot of products. It's tough to get your fingers through there. It's worth taking a second to explain. Heavy products make your hair clump up and feel dirty and producty, so you have to wash pretty quickly. It's bad for your lifestyle because you're constantly stuck washing and styling your hair over and over again all the time. If I was an evil executive at a hair care company, I would come out with all these heavy products and make you think that you need to use a bunch of them all at the same time. That way your hair gets dirty really quickly, so you have to wash it and reapply the product. So I'm making all this money because you're using all these products and you have to wash your hair all the time and reapply all these products. It makes me a lot of money. But unfortunately for me, I'm not an evil hair care executive, so I say use the least amount of products possible. It's way better for your hair, way better for your lifestyle, less products and less effort. it's better all the way around. Anyway, we're almost done styling, so here we can go ahead and do our side-by-side comparison. It's hard to tell from the video if you weren't paying specific attention to this, but I had to leave the iron on the hair for much longer on the Olaplex side. It's heavier, so the curls didn't hold as well. It was being pulled down, so I had to use more heat to make sure the curls held up. And honestly, I probably shouldn't have done that. It would have been way better for the video if I just let it fall out and did the exact same thing on both sides, but I wasn't about to let the model leave with one side of her hair falling out. So really with your eyes, you can't see a huge difference yet. I wish we could have seen the front, because the front you can really see the difference in volume. The Olaplex side has less volume, but we already knew that. We already said that. The biggest difference was really in the texture of the hair. The Olaplex side was so much heavier, and I really wish you guys could feel the difference because it's really massive. But this is where I want to point out that the experiment is nowhere near done, because the hair in the chair, the way it looks and feels in the salon, is only half the equation. We now need to watch what happens to her hair over the next couple of days. So we asked her to pay attention to it, and she was actually nice enough to send us some pictures on day 3. So looking at the pictures, the first thing that I want to point out is that the Olaplex side actually has more volume now, which is strange because that's actually the opposite of what we saw in the salon. At first, the Olaplex side, because it was heavier with more products, had much less volume. But as you live in it, product kind of tends to turn into gunk. It expanded and lifted the hair, and if you felt the hair, it doesn't feel great to have all that product feeling. Another thing that you'll notice is if you look at the Olaplex side, you'll see that the curls are kind of starting to fall apart. They're not as defined because they kind of clump together and lose definition when you have that much product. That product makes the curls kind of stick to each other when the hair, normally clean hair, will like glide against other hair really easily, but with that much product, it tends to clump and just kind of bleh. And you can see on the control side, most of the curls are still pretty defined. They're all still doing their own thing instead of clumping together. It's because there's less product and they're lighter. And remember, this is just on day 3. So for all my people who go 5, 6, 7 days between washes, you can basically look at these effects and then double them, and that will be your hair before you had to wash. All right, so taking all of this and kind of bringing it together into useful information, I have something I need to get off my chest, and that's that I've been testing Olaplex products forever. So I'm using this within the context not just of what we filmed here in this test, but of all my Olaplex testing that I've done in my entire life. From the hundreds of times that I've used this, I've noticed that the 6 is almost exactly the same as the 9 in terms of results, except the 6 is just a little bit better at everything, which means there's really no reason to ever buy the 9. But don't take that to mean that 9 is not a good product. It's a very good product. It's just that 6 is absolutely amazing. If you have a 9, keep using it. No big deal. Buy the 6 when you run out, but this is still a really good product. It doesn't do anything better than the 6 does. And like I said earlier, with all the testing that I've done throughout my entire life, I've never found an oil, Olaplex or not, any type of oil, that's good to put in your hair before you blow dry it. It always tends to mess up the texture, gives you more frizz than you should really have. And I know there's a ton of people out there that use oil in their blowouts, and they're like, it's great, it does great for me, and that's totally cool, but it would do better with a good blow dry cream. You should put this on after. I guarantee the results will be better. And I want to gently remind you that Olaplex is absolutely notorious for trying to sell you these huge kits and all this Olaplex and all these things that you don't need. Don't go crazy with Olaplex. If you want to know which ones are good and which ones to avoid, I'll link a video right here. All right, so thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, leave a comment and either me or someone from the community will get back to you. We usually have a really good discussion down there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a good one.